Just go one, two, three when it's okay. Hey guys, this is Alex Jabali, CEO Jabali. Right here to my right, I'm here with Stephen Jayson. This is actually CJ Truth's father. I consider him the best sponsor in the FGC because he brings him out to all the tournaments and stuff. How are you doing today, Stephen?
Doing great, doing great.
Good to hear. Your son just won the Storm Surge tournament. It was a 3-day tournament here. He beat me as usual. A very dedicated kid. How do you feel about him winning today?
Well, I feel great that he won today. It's just been a great experience with him, and every time we go to one of these tournaments, just real neat to see all the people and all the people we've become friends with now, and also his results and how well he's been progressing.
Right. Now, do you remember the first tournament you ever brought him to? Where was that?
Oh, I sure do. The first one was in December of 2009 at Winterfest here in Kissimmee at a hotel there, and that's where we actually got to meet you for the very, very first time, and it was quite an experience. We came in that day, didn't have any idea what to expect, and there were over 250 guys there, and Chris played Street Fighter because that was the only game he knew about then, and he wound up losing real quick and going into the losers bracket and losing again. But we stayed the whole weekend, and he played casuals all weekend and had a great time.
And how did you hear about it? Like, was it a flyer? Was it just friends?
I think he picked it up off the internet somehow, and he told me about it. So we had no idea what to expect, and we went down there, and I think the both of us were a bit surprised as to how big and how popular it seemed to be. So I was taken off my chair by the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. And I remember when I first met him, the first thing I ever taught him, because when I like to teach people, I tell them what they're doing wrong, one step at a time. Like, so he was always jumping. I'm like, don't jump. So every time he jumped, I would uppercut him with, crouching fierce with ball rog. And ever since, he always tells me, he's like, I don't jump because every time I try to jump, I think Jabali's yelling at me not to jump. So, he learned a lot like a sponge. He was 11 at his first tournament.
He was 11. Yeah, he was 11.
He's 14 years old now. It's
Yep.
3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken him to EVO twice now.
Yes.
You've taken him to the final round. EVO,
Yes.
he got top 64.
Yeah, he came in 17th in EVO this past
yeah.
year. The first year we went out there and he played and he made it halfway through a bracket of about 72 players and then he got knocked out. But we came back last year and with the new bracket set up there, he wound up getting through it all. He beat Mike Ross and a couple other good players, Evan from Europe, and then he wound up coming in 17th overall.
Exactly. Yeah, he lost to Juice Box, who's told CJ I can't
And
use
Wolfcrow.
and Wolfcrow, and he can't. Juice Box lost to him at one of the UFGT 7 with Abel and stuff. So CJ learns a lot. He watches a lot of videos, stuff like that. The first tournament you took him out of Orlando, what was that experience like? Do you remember what it was?
Well, if you think about, the tournaments they have all over the state of Florida, we traveled around a lot in Florida, from Miami to Tampa to Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and it was a great experience, and he met a lot of people, and we have a lot of friends, both myself, my wife, and Christopher have a lot of friends in the gaming community here in Florida. But then as we traveled, the first one we went to was in final round, and that was a really neat experience because it was his first major. And then he went out to the Universal Fighting Games in May. A fellow named Keith running that, and he came. I didn't get to that one, but my wife went with him, and they came back and praised how well that tournament was organized. And then we went up a couple of weeks later, we went up to New York to the
or Philly, I think it was.
No, New York was maybe the East Coast Throwdown, I think.
Oh, yeah, New Jersey, borderline Jersey.
In Jersey. And that one was, all the Northeastern guys up there and a lot of guys we knew up there from some of the other tournaments. And then on to EVO, and then in the fall we went over to Philadelphia for the other one there. And just had a great experience. The big ones are all kind of neat. You see a lot of the same guys traveling from all over the country, but they're all the thing I'm most, here I'm a dad, and I'm probably the only I saw a couple of fathers in EVO, but outside of that, my wife and I are probably the only adults. And I got to say that I'm just totally impressed with all of the people that attended, all of the players that come, the gamers that come there. They're totally into the game. They have a lot of fun. They share and exchange a lot of ideas, and they all just do a great. And they shake hands before and they shake hands after. There's a lot of great sportsmanship, and it's just really, really neat to watch everybody and how they all are with each other. It's a good experience.
Now, I've been with CJ, I've helped him out a lot, and he keeps placing high. Do you think this year is going to be a good year for him?
Well, I hope. He was, like we said, he was 11, 12 when he started. He's now 14, and sometimes as we grow, we start to get new habits, and get new interests. Right now, he still seems to be extremely interested in playing Street Fighter and Marvel and the games, and we'll just see how it goes. I'd love to see him, it would be great to see him win one major. I think he has the ability. I think he still gets the butterflies in his stomach when he sits down and plays a lot of the great players up on the stage in front of, a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand people. He gets a little nervous. He's just only 14 years old, so he gets a little nervous up there. I know he was shaking, he told me, when he played Wolf Crone and Juicebox on the EVO stage last year.
So, what else can we talk about? What's the least thing that you've liked about all the tournaments? I'd like an honest opinion on that.
The least thing I would say would be two things. One is there's not a whole lot for me to do except kind of hang around because he's too young to leave on his own, So I spend a lot of hours just hanging around, and it gets kind of noisy in there after about 10 or 12 hours. And I guess the only other thing would be, I think this would be maybe for some of the guys out there that run some of these tournaments is to maybe think a little bit more about how they can organize them and move them along at a steadier pace. Have the right equipment there, get the brackets going, and get it organized and get it going smooth. Because some of the times we've gone, things that were going to start at, let's say, 2 started at like 9 at night, or something that was going to start at 11 in the morning started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you're traveling and let's say you're going out across the country to a tournament, and now you're on a whole different time zone, it could throw somebody off, Yeah. So, I think the organization and timing of some of the ways they play some of the games would be one, and then it's just for me to find something to do with all the hours that I'm there.
Right.
But that's it, really. It's the rest of it's all just a lot of fun, and it's all good fun for everybody, I think.
Cool. Last question before we go. School. I know you've told me to give him a pep talk or to stop playing Page School. How do you feel about him traveling to all these tournaments between school and all that?
Well, of course, that's the first thing really is his education, because, we don't know. He doesn't probably even know yet what he wants to do when he grows up. But education is extremely important, and that's first. We try to really balance that out. I try to push him very, very hard to make sure he's up on all his work so that we could take these extra days off to travel up to final round, leave on a Thursday after school, come back on a Monday, so he'd miss Friday and Monday. And maybe, fortunately, a couple of the good tournaments, there's the one in Chicago, the one in New York, the one of course in Las Vegas, they're all on his summer break. But school is most important, and I know that a lot of the guys around here, especially you and some of the other local guys, are always pushing him and trying to make sure he does his work, and he's staying up with it. So we're happy about that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Jayson, I appreciate it as always.
My pleasure.
I see you all the time, my friend.
Yeah.
I just want to give you the first interview of a father's insight into traveling with his son CJ Truth or Christopher Jayson as well. So you'll be seeing him around this year. We're going to be going to final round together, teaming up, EVO.
Yep.
I think we might go to CEO. You think about going to CEO?
I think we'll be there first.
Yeah. But all right, FGC, I'll talk to you guys next time. Jabali out.